Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. The words of this hymn have echoed through centuries, across pews, prison cells, revival tents, and even on the battlefield. But few truly know the stormy soul from which this hymn came. John Newton was born in 1725, the son of his stern sea captain and a devout Christian mother who died when he was just 7. Left to the sea to fend for himself, Newton became everything his mother feared: rebellious, profane, and enslaved by sin. By his 20s, Newton was deep in the slave trade, the Atlantic slave trade. But in 1748, a remarkable event happened in the life of John Newton. He was in a brutal storm in the North Atlantic, and he thought for a moment there that he was going to die. And right there, in the middle of the storm and the turbulence, he lifted up his eyes and he cried out to the Lord, "Lord, have mercy on me." And this marked the beginning of his God moments, for God truly delivered him from that storm. You would think for a moment that Newton didn't go back to his life of sin. No, Newton continued in the slave trade for several years after that fateful night. But eventually, his heart could no longer ignore the contradiction. So he repented and left the trade, this time around for good. He went on to be discipled, studied theology, and would eventually become a minister of the gospel. Years later, he became a vocal abolitionist, speaking against slave trade publicly. He would even mentor a few men who would help dismantle this thing called slave trade. Now, here's the meat of the gist. December 31st, 1772, New Year's Eve, Newton was going to deliver a sermon, and he had written out the words of a hymn in order to accompany his sermon. He titled the hymn Faith's Review and Expectation, which is now widely and commonly known as Amazing Grace. The words of the hymn were personal to him. It was a summary of how God's grace found a wretch like him and saved him and made something beautiful out of his life. Many critics in his time considered the words of the hymn too plain, too simple, and void of any poetic finesse. But God had other plans. This hymn has been sung in every corner of the world, Christians and non-Christians alike. Amazing Grace has crossed oceans, tribes, and tongues. It has healed hearts, saved lives, and told one timeless truth: God's grace is for everyone. God's grace isn't for the perfect. It knows no bound. If it can save a man who was once a slave trader and bet something beautiful from his life, it can indeed save you. Regardless of how far you think you may have gone, God's grace beckons on you today, my friend. Towards the end of his life, John Newton said, "My memory is nearly gone, but I remember two things: that I am a great sinner and Christ is a great Savior."